We're going live. Hey, everybody. Can you hear us? Are we live? Hi, everybody. I don't know if we're live yet. I think we are. Hello. Can y'all hear me? Okay, here we go. I think we're live now.
This summer could be your $1 million moment. 3 more.
Can y'all hear us? Hi, everybody. Hello. Okay, there we go. I can see myself now. So I am joined by some lovely ladies, and we'll get into introducing them in just a moment. Hi, Ivy of Bark. How are you? Old Fashioned Dreams. Good to see you. Hi, Flapper. Baby Grandma. Wow, ladies, we're going to have a good crowd in here today. McMeow, Frig, welcome to the Sunday Live. My mom, she said she was going to be watching, so if I see my mom, I'll give her a shout out. My mom just joined YouTube, you guys, a couple weeks ago because she likes to watch my lives. She's 81 and she taught herself how to do that. So I thought I would go ahead and let the ladies kind of introduce themselves because I am very curious about these lovely ladies. I have been on several lives with them. They are amazing. They have amazing YouTube channels, but I never really understood how they got into this space of talking about Meghan Markle and the royals. So, Resting Dollface, if you want to tell us, how did you get into this crazy, wacky space of the Megxit community?
Oh wow, I fell into it by accident. Look, 2018 was just a really rough time for me. At that time, I remember, late 2017, early 2018, over here in the US, people were saying, "Oh, Prince Harry's, fiance, she was on the hit show Suits," which I've never heard of. And so it was just basically, "Oh, Diana's son is getting married. The, grandson of the monarch is getting married. Prince Harry is getting married." And so I was just kind of like, okay, good for him. Wish him the best. Didn't watch the wedding, none of that. But then towards 2019, it kept popping up in the press that, oh, they're separating from the Cambridges. Oh, they're doing this. Oh, they're doing that. And then all of a sudden, they announced they were leaving. And I was like, wait, something's not right here. And so that's when I started just paying attention to everything. And because at the time, I was so new to it that looking online and social media, there was a distinct difference between what appeared to be paid PR to plug Meghan versus the actual perception of what was going on. One thing that stood out to me was there never seemed to be video of her. It was always these perfectly poised, posed pictures. And then sure enough, looking into it afterwards, I was just like, wow, this is something that I've noticed. This is something that I've noticed. And it was the Sidley twins who just invited me on one day. That was how I got started with YouTube. I was just like, okay, we seem to be cool friends online. And so I just really kind of fell into this.
Sorry, I was muted. That's really interesting. I think I first saw you on the Sidleys and on Twitter. So
Yeah.
that's how I got to know you. Yeah, so you weren't a fan of the royal family. You just kind of fell into it after around the Meghan and Harry saga.
I mean, I knew who they were. Don't get me wrong. I grew up loving Princess Diana like everybody did. Yeah, I did have a crush on William at one time, but when she passed away, I just kind of, even though I'm like the same age, I just looked at it more like, this is somebody we want to see do well. And so I wasn't following them all the time. I did watch William and Catherine's wedding. But other than that, no, I wasn't up on the scene of, oh, they're going here. The Royals went here today. I mean, we're in America. We know the Royals. We respect the Royals. We watch them. But I wasn't watching that closely because we all had real lives going on, especially with COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Revealing, how about you? What's your story?
Mine kind of starts out sad, but inspirational, I think. So I lost my soul dog in March of 2024, and I could not watch TV. I could not watch anything because it's unpredictable and the tiniest thing would send me into tears. So I started watching the Megxit YouTube videos. I started with the Royal Rogue, and that, launched me into Megan's Mole and the Sidley twins and so many people. And I had a friend that I met in a Facebook group for people that had lost their dogs. She actually lost her dog the day before mine. And we were kind of navigating that grief together. And I would tell her, Meghan Markle is a narcissist. And she'd be like, but how do you know? And I would send her videos, but it was hard for her to watch like an hour long video. She wanted to see the clips of the mask slips and all of that. And she would tell me, please, just make a channel, make an X account and consolidate these clips and I just want to be able to scroll through something and see all the mask slips. And that's kind of how we got here. So it's really thanks to my soul dog. She launched all of this for me. I really feel this is one of the gifts that she has left for me. And I grew up with a malignant narcissist stepmom, and that's the reason why I see it so much in Megan. The facial expressions, the body language, it's all just the same. And then when you grow up around a lot of narcissists, you tend to romantically, and I mean professionally and in friendships, gravitate towards people that, displayed those same types of characteristics. And I was married to a narcissist. I didn't realize he was a narcissist until after I separated. But, it's through all of these experiences that you learn. And I feel like my life has kind of set me up for this. So it's a good time, and I've met so many lovely people here. So yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone. Thanks for having me on, Michelle.
Well, that was fascinating. I'm really glad because I had no idea. I had no idea it was about your dog. So it was your soul dog passed away and you went to the Megxit community, because I think the Megxit community has been a really big escape for a lot of people. And as a creator, and I'm sure you two feel the same way, the biggest compliment we ever get is someone says, that was a great video. I really enjoyed that. That is the biggest
Absolutely.
compliment to me because, like you two ladies, I also fell into this by accident. I'm a little older than you, but I actually was a Diana super fan. And I always tell the story. I was a little girl. I watched her wedding. I grew up, I became obsessed because a real life princess. Are you kidding me? When you're 8 years old, it's like, what? They exist? Oh my God, sign
I
me up.
did have, yeah, I had the paper dolls.
Yeah,
So did you
me
have
too,
those?
me too. For Christmas, I got paper dolls. I got the books. My mom is in here. Hi, Mama. She's lurking. And
Hi.
I always tell the story that I was
Hello.
obsessed with Diana because she was everywhere. She was everywhere. And became fascinated with royalty, and I would read books on it. And Hello Magazine, I used to collect Majesty. I was just addicted because that was before the internet. So we had the tabloids. And that's why I always call out Meghan Markle, girl, you lie, because I grew up on tabloids. What are you talking about? I'm from
Right?
Texas.
Especially her in Hollywood with the whole, I grew up in the industry.
Right.
My dad, my this. I was on the set. I mean, you're really trying to claim we didn't have tabloids? Are you serious?
Uh-huh. That's right. And so I was a huge royal watcher and fan. And it was funny though, because the comparison, like when William started dating Catherine, it was everywhere. It was big news because he's William. He's the next king. He's Diana's son. So of course we were all fascinated, and they did the whole Waity Katie for 8 years,
Oh,
and then they got married. It was beautiful. But when Harry started dating Meghan, being that she was an American actress, there really wasn't as much coverage of
I
Harry,
thought that
right?
was weird,
Yeah,
right?
you
Like,
get like a couple of articles, and then you think I would be like, oh my God. And I was like, that's not going to last. It was like the American actress, he's not going to marry her. Joke's on me. Right. So then I was like, when she did the Vanity Fair article and then they got engaged, I was like, okay, I guess I should pay attention. I didn't know who she was. I had to Google her.
I
So
know.
that
Isn't that
tells
funny?
you,
Like, as
yeah.
much as she says that about, oh, I never Googled him and stuff, like everybody had to Google her and then nothing became of it. It became like this. I felt like every article going back through the history of it was designed with the same like saying, oh, this was their dating timeline, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, why are they repeating that in every single article? It was almost like they were trying to embed that in everybody's consciousness, you know? It
Mhm.
was just weird. Like, it was just, oh, she showed up here today, blah, 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 blah. It was the opening of this, which is very dear to her heart. She's an actress from the show Suits. They met, like, everything repeated the history over and over again, which we later found out didn't match up with what's out there at all.
Right. And like I said, I knew Suits, but you had to pay like for the show. You had to pay for like the network. So I didn't watch it because I wasn't going to pay extra for the show, but I knew the show and I recognized her from the show, but she was not a household name. I didn't know what her name was, and I was actually surprised that she was with Harry. But I thought
Right?
she was pretty. I was excited when they did the wedding. I was excited. And then of course all that drama with her family and me being a royal watcher. I've seen quite a few royal weddings, and I was like, wow, that is so embarrassing. This American's up there with this drama, right? This was
Mm.
really bad. So, what I wanted to talk about today, ladies, was the article that came out recently where they talked about the Queen confidant, the cousin to Queen Elizabeth, Lady Elizabeth Anson, and how she pretty much confirmed what we've all kind of suspected, right? That the royal family just didn't like Meghan and that the Queen knew that she was nothing but trouble. And I love the fact that she just confirmed everything that we've all just kind of, believed on our own, right? So, did you guys have an opportunity to see some of the stories where they mentioned that?
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did a video about one of the aspects about it, and the one thing that I didn't realize was that Megan didn't share what her wedding dress looked like with the queen. Like, can you imagine? You're having this giant wedding, you're not paying for it at all, and the Queen of England asks you to see your dress, and you say no? Like, if the Queen of England asked to see anything of mine, absolutely, here it is. Take a look.
Exactly. Just the audacity of this woman, the way she treated the queen, she had no respect. And the fact that Harry let this woman do that is really disappointing. How he let his soon to be bride treat his grandmother that way. And it was a real testament to, he always talked about how he has such a great relationship with his grandmother, but it was very evident that when he got with Meghan, she used to say Harry was much too in love with Meghan. And it was true. He chose Meghan over pretty much everybody.
Oh no, I agree completely. And to touch base on that, to not let the queen know about her dress. Well, so much for that argument of Megan saying there's nobody there to help. There is no princess school, nobody to tell you what to wear, no one to help you with this. She was keeping things a secret, and it seems like there's a lot of stuff she was keeping secret.
Right. And it's interesting. I was listening to somebody, actually, HG Tudor, who's going to be a guest on my show on the 27th. You guys, it's going to be a very fascinating show. He's going to be in the hot seat. We're going to pick his brain. But he was talking about, I was listening to a video that he did about red flags, and you might know something about this, revealing about how all the red flags that Prince Harry missed when he was dating Meghan Markle. And the thing about not having the family, how she broke off her father and her half siblings, and she had only one person from both sides of her family at the wedding, not even a ragland. No one from Doria's side, no one from her father's side, just one person. And to this day, it is alleged he has not met anyone from her family besides Doria. Now, for a 36-year-old bride, unless you're an orphan and unfortunately you had some mishaps with your family, to have one family member, no high school friends, you just have Hollywood friends that you bring to your wedding. Wouldn't you think that's a red flag if you're dating someone and you know nobody from their past? Wouldn't you find that weird?
Absolutely. I mean, it's wild. That would be a red flag to me. And I mean, you know what? This actually Oh my gosh, I'm getting flashbacks. So when I first started dating my ex-husband, it was very much like that. I didn't really meet his friends or family, and when I did eventually meet his stepmom and we announced that we were going to get married, his stepmom said, "Are you sure you wanna marry him?" And I thought it was a joke, right? And then you look back on it and it's like people knew. And maybe it was, Meghan would expect comments like that to be dropped in front of Harry for Harry, to have the rose-colored glasses maybe come off. So she was very protective over what she presented to Harry, and this also reminds me that, I don't remember where we read it, but Harry would see something and he would tell Meghan, "Oh, can you is this true? Did you really do X, Y, and Z? The tabloids are reporting on it." And it would be a true story, but she would somehow fool him every time, like, "No, the bad tabloids, they made it all up, and actually, it was Catherine that made me cry." I still can't believe the heavy manipulation and how easily Harry believed everything, and I think ultimately it comes down to he wants to believe everything. He wanted to believe that she is who she presented herself to be, because the opposite of that, he would have to admit he's been fooled. He ended his relationships for nothing. He is in complete isolation because of his own foolishness, I would say.
Exactly. This lady, Joe, said Meghan copied it off a princess, a lady of color. Yes, her wedding dress was a direct copy of, I think, Princess Angela of Liechtenstein. Literally, she copied this woman's wedding dress. Nothing about her is unique at all. Meghan Markle, as we've talked about several times, as her being a narcissist, she doesn't have a real personality. She's like a chameleon. She's void inside, so she takes character traits from other people and she puts them onto herself because she doesn't really have one, and she's always stealing other people's ideas, kind of like a single white female, even down to her wedding dress. Here you could see that the queen didn't want her to wear white. She didn't want her to wear a veil because this was her second wedding, which really wasn't appropriate for a huge church wedding. But of course, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets, right?
For sure. Even if she has to do it sneakily, quietly, and underhanded, in my opinion.
Exactly. So the Lady Elizabeth Anson made it known that Harry was very rude to his grandmother, the Queen, about Meghan during the wedding planning, and that of course, we know she was rude to the caterer. She was yelling to the staff. Even Catherine was like, "Don't talk to my staff that way, Meghan." There were so many red signs and red flags going off like alarm bells before the wedding. But I do feel like Prince Harry kind of bulldozed the Queen, bulldozed the royal family. And he even said in his book, Spare, she said to him, "Well, I guess I have to say yes." She was not enthusiastic about this wedding, but I do feel like they were strong arming the Queen. Now, look at these photos of the Queen. The Queen was not happy at this wedding. What are your thoughts on that?
It breaks my heart to see it. Just she knew what the queen knew what was coming. I mean, it had already happened, right? And um I actually, you know what? If you give me a couple of minutes, maybe I can send you a couple of videos, because there's a lot of people say that Meghan didn't curtsy to the queen at the wedding, but she did, and it was the tiniest curtsy ever. Um,
Is it on your
and
Twitter page? Because I could pull up your Twitter page.
it is, but it's probably really deep in in my Twitter page.
Okay.
But I'll find it. I'll mute myself for a little bit. But the I don't know what's worse, completely not doing something or faking it and doing the most minimal thing you could do. It was such a lack of respect when they were singing the national anthem. Meghan did not seem enthusiastic about it at all. It was just hard to watch. And then on their exit out of the was it St. Why am I drawing a blank? St. George's Chapel? St. I forget. But anyways, as they were walking out, she actually, in my opinion, glanced over at William as she was walking out. I'll send you those 2 clips right now.
Okay. Rusty Dollface, what do you think about this photo?
You know, I'm looking at it with a new perspective because after like the floodgates seemed to have opened about the truth about what was going on, how difficult she was. We know about the Tiara Gate allegedly and, making Kate cry and stuff like that. Allegedly, saying that, why couldn't Catherine be more understanding, especially with the drama her family was putting her through? I wonder, like, how many other drama and little fights and lies were behind the scenes. And what if this moment here, the queen is looking at her and she's like realizing that all this trouble that's been happening up until this date was really going on. So all the excuses that were made as to why the trouble was going on, she was trying to give her grace. And then Meghan shows up. Like, we don't know. I would love to know from the palace all the deals and all the producers and all the stuff that were calling into the palace, calling for Meghan, all the people who came on site to meet with Meghan, because we know Netflix was working with her since February of 2018. Why were they working with her if she was giving everything up and this was the next progression? So this, to me, I'm looking at it more like the queen, like this is the aha moment of, you've been lying to us. All the things you told us you want to do, this isn't matching with what you said, all the trouble you've been giving us, all the little excuses along the way. You're busted now.
Right. To me, it looked like she was not happy. She was very dismayed. And Megan just looked like the cat who swallowed the canary. The way she walked down the aisle, there was something so off putting about her walking by herself. And when she was walking with the veil and the kids, and she had that look on her face, I just remember thinking to myself, wow, that's interesting. Because you would think she'd be nervous. Oh my gosh, there were so many people there. She's by herself. Her father wasn't there. That there was all that drama going on with her dad that week. But no, she looked like she had Duper's delight. She was the cat who swallowed the canary, and then of course King Charles came and walked her down the rest of the aisle. But I just remember at that moment, and this is of course before we knew any of the stuff that was happening, right? We didn't know
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I just remember thinking to myself, it was so odd. It was so odd.
The,
But yeah, so everything about the wedding was odd. The one family member, the King Charles walking her down the aisle, the
the
way
famous people she didn't know, but they were all from Hollywood.
yep, right. No real friends, no real family. And I think the Queen knew. And of course, we know that the Queen really wanted Meghan to make up with her father, or as I say, Dati. She wanted to make up with her Dati. She wanted Meghan to make amends because they wanted him at the wedding and they didn't want that drama. The drama that was in the tabloids before she even walked down the aisle about will he or won't he? Right, come down the aisle. It was a whole back and forth thing. And the queen was like, nip this in the bud. Write him a letter. Go see him. Invite him. And Meghan refused. So that is when Meghan wrote the infamous letter that she knew eventually was going to be published.
Yeah.
Right? Everything she does is very, very calculating. So again, I think we knew from the onset of the wedding, the body language was off. You can tell even like Eugenie, Beatrice, Zara, William and Catherine, when they were sitting in the pews, none of them looked happy compared to Catherine and William's wedding, which was a completely different, joyous occasion. I thought it spoke volumes. Um, no, Nanette says the Queen had decades of figuring out people's real intentions. I trust her impressions.
Me too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Carol says, yes, Neil Sean referenced that she couldn't give the respect to the Queen. That's right. I mean, just the audacity. You marry into the one of the most famous royal institutions to the longest reigning monarch in UK history. And you're like, nah, Granny, I'm good. I don't need you to know about my wedding dress.
because
Who are you?
to her, I really do think that Meghan thought she was good enough. She just needed a bigger platform. I mean, her manager even came out and said it, that that was her goal, to get a high profile, relationship and to go back to the States. And she even penned that article right after Megxit was announced, and she was shocked that Meghan left a lot sooner. She thought for sure she'd put in a lot more time. So that wedding came off as more of like a networking event for her, as well as a coming out, introducing Meghan Markle as the fabulous princess she is. And we know that's not the case. She's all about optics, yet there's never any substance to it, is there?
Exactly. And to me, there was an article that just came out that I might do a video on. Is called How Meghan Markle Was Using This as a Stepping Stone for Her Career. And I would say that's accurate. If you look
Yeah.
at her history, everything that she's doing, the Duchess for Sale, everything she's doing now, monetizing the titles, 100% she saw Harry and this wedding as a stepping stone for her career that she could never have otherwise. So I
And it's
think it's spot on.
Yeah, and the thing is we're everything we're seeing now is stuff that she did on the TIG. It's stuff that she did with Elle magazine, trying to get that show, where she's being paid to travel and try cuisine. It's everything. The rosé, the jam, all right, the not cooking, but just taking picture of other people's foods and just, taking credit. Like, she has nothing, in my opinion, to offer. Why this whole time? If she did, and I'm sorry, Megan, steal my ideas, please. My God, this is cringeworthy to watch how bad this is. Why wasn't she hosting get-togethers and like secretly putting together, like, like the fixer of hosting, right? No, we have to hear that she's just taken up with a mahjong group and all this, like that's supposed to matter. Why wasn't she hosting this whole time? Why wasn't she putting together little mixers? Why wasn't she arranging nibbles of those ladies at their houses? Because we see those ladies constantly posting and giving credit to the person who did it. And this whole time Megan didn't do it, really?
Exactly. Like I said, she went to the royal family for one reason, to basically use it as a stepping stone to launch herself. She didn't want to learn the protocol. She didn't form a relationship with Sophie, with Catherine, people who were offering her help and assistance. She denied the assistance that the queen had set up for her. She was like, I have Harry. I don't need to learn protocol. Pamela says the royal family should have used Thomas Sr.'s illness as an excuse to delay the wedding. Absolutely. Absolutely. But again, it happened within like a day or two, right? It was like right in the same week. So it might have been too late to delay the wedding at that point. Joe says, Michelle, no disrespect at all to you, but if anyone disrespected my Nan, gone. Absolutely. The fact that he claimed to have such a loving relationship with his grandmother, but then let his wife come in and disrespect her, that doesn't sound right to me. Because
Does
if
anyone?
someone came in and disrespected my mom, gone,
Yeah,
gone.
I mean, like, isn't it funny how when she mocked the curtsy in Netflix, she said, well, what do you mean? We're meeting your grandmother. Why do I have to curtsy? So she dismissed it as it's just your grandmother, right? Yet when she's talking to Oprah about, oh, yeah, I heard Prince Philip wasn't doing well, so I called the queen. But she throws in the title when it benefits her to say, look, I can call the queen directly. Revealing, what do you make of that? Because you know a lot about narcissists.
I mean, it was all not true, right? This article coming out, I think, or the news of this all coming out is proof of that the queen had hesitations from the get-go, and Harry and Meghan wanted to fake that the relationship was very close between them and the queen, and that's just not true. Michelle, I was able to get some of my videos up in StreamYard, but I don't know how to present them. I don't Do you want me to try to present them?
Okay, sure.
How do I don't know how to do it.
Okay. Oh, no. Okay, so do you see the
Let's
sign underneath where it says present? Slides and
Oh,
P
yes.
video file. See if you can do the video file. There should be room
Oh.
there. You can only have 10 items. Let me see if I have everything. 1, 2, 3.
So it's so weird because I have them loaded
Oh,
here, like,
okay. I think I see it.
there's the curtsy. See, she does. And so this is a compilation of all the other wedding like curtsies to the queen. And Megan's, and it's so weird because in every curtsy, the camera is focused on the bride, but Megan's is a top view. I don't know why they did that.
Weird. Maybe it was a different cathedral, or it looks like it's the same.
But Princess Eugenie's was the same cathedral, so maybe play it one more time. So
I
see,
think.
everyone else's is
Mhm.
side view, and Princess Eugenie's standing in the same place. And then if you play the other clip where it's Harry and Meghan standing there, that actually has audio.
Okay. Can you hear it? Or can you
My God. Okay, so one thing I noticed, is that by doing the aerial view like that, you don't notice the queen. You don't notice everybody else there. It makes it all about Harry and Meghan. Now we know how good she is at certain camera angles, just detracting from everybody else, keeping the focus on her, the lighting this, the lighting that. So I wonder if she had input on that part herself. I could be wrong, but then also the fact of like, did anybody else just notice Harry's face? Harry
Exactly.
is singing the song and he looks like he's on the verge of tears, like that princess from Spain from that movie Ever After. Whereas she's like, oh, this is a love story. I look so good. I'm smiling. This is the happiest moment of my life. He looks like he's terrified.
Yeah, she definitely didn't look like, let me play this again here. She definitely just looked like she was barely, she doesn't know the words, she doesn't know the national anthem. He looks like he's emotionally moved at this moment. But look
Mhm.
at her. She's got like that weird canary smile on her face. Doesn't look like a blushing bride. Look at her. She's just like, I'm like an actress doing an acting part. You
And
see that?
then, Michelle, the last video that I have there, that one has audio also. And as they're walking out, you'll see her glance over. To me, it looks like she's glancing over at William. And then a lot of people, when I posted this clip, they they were trying to brainstorm what Prince Philip was saying. So,
Sorry. Okay. Look at her. Look, that's not, she's not happy, you guys. Look at William's face. Look at William. He's like, oh,
yeah.
man, you messed up here, bro.
William's face in the beginning when he's sitting next to Harry was hilarious. He just kept like there were other scenes that were, I went back and saw it where he's just looking up and smiling like I can't believe this is
Yeah,
about to go down.
look at his face. Oh, stony. That's not a happy brother. No smile. The queen's like, oh man, we're stuck with her. See, the body language doesn't lie. And I knew the vibe was off on the wedding, like with her one mother standing there very awkwardly, and then the queen's face. I wish we had a clip of Catherine's wedding. You could see the queen was beaming. The body language was so different. But here, everyone's just like, oh, Lord. William's face is like stone.
You're
But
you're right. And did anyone else see that other clip of her mom where at one point like I think it's in the middle of them doing their vows or the archbishop is doing something and in the background her mom is like she's just like so over it or she's just like when is this going to end? She just rolls her eyes and looks up instead and I'm like that is not a very loving oh my gosh touching moment. Look at my daughter. I'm happy for it. It was really odd.
yeah, it really was. And then someone said Prince Philip was saying that you're stuck with her now. He had famously told Harry, one does not marry an actress. He dates her, right? But Harry married the showgirl. And the thing about Meghan is that she's just doesn't have the pedigree to be royal. She still wants to be an actress, and that's the problem. Lily of the Valley says Prince Philip was probably saying we're all stuck with her now. Absolutely. But you guys, look at William's face. This is kind of heartbreaking because they used to be so close, right? And the three of them were like the three musketeers, William, Catherine, and Harry. Look at his reaction. And you do see her look at William right there. And he's just like, I can't stand that woman.
I always thought he was laughing kind of like I don't know like again it is a spectacle And it wasn't a spectacle because of the grandiosity of it or the scale of it, but because of what they were hiding and trying to get the world to perceive about them. That's what I got.
Right. And here was her, what was it, Givenchy dress that, in my opinion, it was ill fitting. And Katy Perry famously said she needed one more fitting. It was a little weird in the middle. It just always looked a little baggy to me. Now, there was a rumor, ladies, and I want your opinion on this, that Meghan might have pulled the old, oopsie, I think I might be pregnant. And that, because they fast tracked this wedding. And in my opinion, I think she might have pulled that card to kind of fast track that relationship to going down the altar. Might have pulled that little trick. Do you guys think that she might have pulled that story, kind of forcing their hand?
I wouldn't be surprised with anything that Megan would do. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was in Australia, but there were rumors going around that maybe it was in Australia, but that someone overheard Harry speaking in a loud voice to her and saying, "Well, are you really pregnant this time?" So, I mean, I would not be surprised about it, and I really don't know what look she was going for with this wedding dress. Like, personally, if it was me, I would go a lot more, um, grand, I think. Um, but yeah, I mean, I would totally see that as being completely possible.
Yeah, Ivy of House says she sure did. And another person said, yes, 100% she faked being preggo. And to be honest with y'all, when she walked down the aisle because her dress was so weird in the front, I actually kind of thought, ooh, is she pregnant? You know what I mean? Because she did get pregnant like within a month or two of getting married, like super fast. Because well, we'll say alleged, right? She got pregnant because she was 36 plus, and they really needed to get a baby. You know what I mean? She needed to quickly get in there and get this done. So that's why I kind of suspected on her wedding day. I thought, oh, is she pregnant? Because she just it didn't look right. It didn't look like it was too loose. So that's why I was kind of wondering, was she pretending to be pregnant to force the wedding? And then of course she didn't have she could have said, oh, I lost the baby, but we're getting married anyway. You know what I mean? Like I felt like she was doing a little trick, and maybe that's why her dress didn't fit well in the middle.
Possibly because there during the case, one of those cases against the Daily Mail or somebody, it came out there were emails from Harry to one of the Queen's staff where it was in February 2018. Again, this is where it's weird, where he says it was about like the lawsuit against the Sun and all of them, where it
Mhm.
was, if we're not going to get like file the lawsuit, if we're not going to, get this settled, before the baby gets here, why are we inviting them to the wedding? Meaning all these people he wanted to sue, and it was the people, I believe, that were involved with the whole like alleged phone hacking thing. And so he said, look, my grandmother told me to take point on this. And I was like, what baby though? Because he also infamously, allegedly yelled and left voicemails on Thomas Markle's phone saying, you've jeopardized, the security of my kids, your grandkids. And I'm like, so we
Oh.
have the email saying before the baby gets here. And if not, then why are they coming to the wedding? So that's really interesting to me.
I always felt I always got, like I said, the whole wedding was just off to me. Everything was off. Of course, we had the drama the week before the wedding, the one family member, the weird dress that looked like she might have been pregnant in the front. I did not like her hair, the way that it fell down, but everything else, I thought the tiara was honestly one of my favorites. I really liked that tiara that she wore. Of course, she wanted to have Princess Eugenie's tiara, and she couldn't have it. But yeah, everything about the wedding was a huge red flag for me, but we were all kind of hoping for the best, right? We were all kind of hoping maybe this would work out and they'll be like William and Catherine to be like the Fab Four, etc. But unfortunately for us, this is what we got. The
Wow.
most heart attack beautiful. Heart
I mean,
attack beautiful.
even with her missteps as a royal, can we all agree her lack of a better term, her internship as a working royal, right?
Hmm.
Um, she was much more polished and coiffed and looked like she was somebody of a certain level. Whereas ever since everything we're seeing, gosh, somebody sent that video on Twitter and it compared Catherine to like, her and Harry. And it's like things like, Catherine leaving an event and she's walking out near a dumpster. I just, man, like what we're seeing now when she keeps saying, "Oh, the authentic me." No, we get it, Megan. You were never meant to come off as a polished person, right?
I think the thing about Megan is that she has no pedigree. She has an education, but she says she speaks Spanish, but we still never quite heard her speak Spanish, even though she was in, where was it that they went to? I can't remember the country where she still needed a translator, but she spoke
Yeah.
Spanish, right? Um, yeah, so everything about Megan is just, she's not the kind of woman who should marry fifth in line to the throne. If you look at people like Catherine, Catherine did not come from royalty. She came from a rich, self made family, but she understood the assignment. She realized she's marrying the future king of England. Therefore, it is not going to be about her having a career. She's going to have to learn how to be pretty much a public civil servant or a diplomat, because that is what royals are. They are diplomats with tiaras. They do a very important role for the country. They represent the country, the Commonwealth, the common good, tourism. They do patronages, but everything they do is about a life of service, not self. And Meghan was a D-list showgirl who wanted to be famous, who married the fifth in line to the throne. But instead of leaving her Hollywood dreams at the door, like other people who understood the assignment, Meghan used it as a stepping stone.
Can I say something, Michelle? So there's something I always say about narcissists, and in my opinion, Megan is a malignant narcissist. They are competitors and not collaborators. I think all of those other things can be taught to someone, right?
Right.
How to sit, how to stand, how to talk to people. Those things are things that can be taught. But when you're inside core values, see everything as a competition, you're just not set out to be part of a hierarchy when you are not the one at the top. And the fact of the matter is, Megan was never going to be the one at the top. She was never going to be happy about it. And she was going to see everyone else's success. And this is how narcissists see things. Everyone else's success comparatively makes them a failure. So they are never genuinely happy for anyone being successful, because in their eyes, that means they failed. So I think this is like an internal core issue with Megan. She was never going to fit in just because of, I mean, that simply being a competitor and not a collaborator.
You know what? That was such a good point that you made. And I was listening to HD Tutor again the other day, and he says that as a narcissist, even your spouse is a competitor. You compete
Right.
against everybody. There's no partnership. It's about me, 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 me. So even if you're married, she competes against Harry. There's no like you said, it's competition, not collaboration. You literally hit the nail on the head. That would pretty much explain Meghan Markle, a narcissist. There's no collaboration. She's not part of the team. If you remember during the engagement interview, how he was talking about, I just wanted to, find someone to take this on, to be a part of the team. She looked down. She was so uncomfortable and her jaw was tensing up. You could tell she was like, part of the team. She had no intention of being a part of any team. So you are 100% right on that analogy. And even HD Tutor says, as a narcissist, well, there's no, camaraderie here. It's competition. Everything's a competition. DizFan 9212, thank you for the super chat. He says, do you guys think the royals gave into the demands of Harry by allowing them to have the wedding as a stark contrast to the Queen's religious beliefs? Resting Dollface, what do you think about that?
I'm I'm not sure because that is a really good question. And I have to say, because, it was allegedly about her, allegedly she changed religions for her first husband. Allegedly she was changing it for Harry. But then there was, this whole thing of, no, we want to, bring up Meghan's heritage. They had the choir and a pastor she allegedly liked or listened to. And I don't understand it. It doesn't seem like I just, again, it seemed like some sort of weird display or stage setting versus, anything that was representative of anyone and who they truly are. The entire thing, I'm really starting to question, like, especially since the way, and you guys brought it up, Harry referenced getting the Queen's approval for the wedding, where the Queen allegedly said something to the effect of, well, I guess you have to, or I guess I have to say yes. I think there was a lot of that strong arming or else going on behind the scenes from what we've seen unfold over the years.
Right. Joe, thank you for the $2 super chat. I just wanted to recognize you for that. Lily of the Valley says, my gut tells me Harry was using the race element as a bargaining tool. So I'm very curious, ladies. When do you guys think she started bringing in the unconscious bias? Was it because of the tabloid stories? Because remember, there was that story that came out about the girl from Compton. I can't remember the exact quote, but she was really upset about it and she wanted them to shut it down. And the royal family was like, deal with it. That's just part of being a royal.
Wait,
Never.
I think Revealing and I spoke about this a long time ago, didn't we? Where I thought that that whole article straight out of Compton, especially because it came out of the LA branch of the Daily Mail, was Meghan. I felt that that was Meghan who leaked that, because even though everybody was covering the fact that, oh, hey, we found out Harry's dating this girl, Harry's dating this girl, Harry's dating this girl, I personally had the opinion that she leaked that because it was that forced, or she used it to force Harry to come out and make it official, versus it being the tabloids exposing it based off of a source or rumor. She wanted that validation the same way she wants that public apology. I think she set that up, that straight out of Compton story.
That's an interesting take. What do you think, revealing the narc?
I want to answer the question before, um, really quick. So sorry if I'm taking the conversation backwards, but in in my experience and just looking how my family and friends were when I married a narcissist. Really, there are two choices when your loved one is in a relationship with a narcissist. If you speak out, the person will cut you off. Right? Your loved one will cut you off because they are so heavily impressioned and influenced by the narcissist. Or you don't say anything, you go along with everything, you keep the peace because you know your loved one is in danger. And if you want to be able to help them and pull them out when things get rough, it's almost like you have to be there to listen in case things get really dangerous, right? And I had some family members that it was hurting them too much to see me like this, and I became isolated from them. And then there were others that, like, for example, when I separated from my husband, I told my dad, and my dad is a traditional man, so I thought he would be disappointed I was getting divorced. And he said to me, "You need to throw a party. This is the happiest day of your life." I had no idea my dad felt that way, but he didn't show it so that when the day did come that I needed help, he could be there to pull me out. So I feel like a lot of the family, they knew Harry was in trouble. They did their best, I think, to stay connected to Harry, and this has been the outcome of it. I mean, he was so under her spell, and he is still so under her spell that look at his isolation. I think any cross word said about Meghan, and that is the end of your relationship with Harry.
So let me ask you a question, revealing. You said you were married to a narcissist, and your family obviously picked up on the clues that this person's not who they say they are, but you were so entrenched in your relationship that if someone would have said something negative to you about your spouse, would you have then defended your spouse or would you have listened to them?
I 100% would have defended my spouse.
Uh,
100%, to the point of, I mean, I'm telling you, it's a completely, when you're under that spell, I would have thought to myself, this person is is jealous, or is they're the ones that want to be with my husband, or whatever else, right? Like they just don't like that I have a successful marriage. In my head, it was a successful marriage, you know? That's how that's how deep the manipulation goes, that people that you've loved for so long and you've trusted up until that point, all of a sudden you don't trust them anymore. I actually did a video about this recently, going through uh, a checklist of how to know if you're being paranoid under the influence of your narcissistic partner, and all of that is so true.
Did you think, were you like a flying monkey, that would you just leap into the defense immediately? Because that's what happened, is they get themselves so close to the victim, and then you get separated from your family that all you hear and see is what your mate is telling you, right? So I think Harry, like, he goes off and does all these lawsuits for Meghan. He fights the tabloids for Meghan. He's defending his wife. Everything he does is for Meghan, but you notice Meghan doesn't do the dirty work herself. She sends her flying monkey, Harry, to do all of the work for him. Now, did your husband, ex-husband, have lieutenants, friends, people that would kind of speak out on his behalf to you when you started to realize, you know what, this person's gaslighting me. This person's lying to me. They're abusing me. So when you would go to his family or his friends, were his lieutenants kind of rallying around him saying, "You're crazy, you're imagining this, is not happening"?
You know, I was so isolated. I was even isolated from his circle, I would say. And I really, the only person I had contact with ultimately was him, right? I mean, I had a best friend that I would talk to, and we really didn't talk about him much. And I had some family that was around. Um, but you really have to get out of the situation, because before you recognize how bad it really is and how bad it really was. Um, and in fact, what I felt when I was around, he would whisper so many things in my ear, and it really messed up my self esteem so bad that when I was around his people, I felt I needed to impress everybody. And I felt that, people didn't really like me. So I needed to put on a show to get his people to like me too. So it's just so awful.
It kind of reminds me of the situation with Harry, because think about it. She only has her mother around him. He has nobody from her past. And all these new Hollywood friends are the people that she approves of, that he can be friends with. All of his friends and his family, gone, gone. Right? They got the heave ho. They didn't make the list. So and now he's in a new country, surrounded with new people and new things. He's pretty much lost everything when he married Meghan Markle. And of course, that's like narcissism 101. Stephen Magnus, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Stephen is amazing. He always has a lot of information about trademarks. He said, "We know from the photographs in the Netflix show she never planned to belong in the royal family. Also, her slew of LLCs and trademarks in 2020 to use." Absolutely. So, this is going to be a tiny little bit of a pivot when we talked about earlier how Meghan Markle never really wanted to be part of the royal family. She was mainly using it as a stepstone. And the fact that she took out all of these trademarks, and that they were already filming themselves before they even left Megxit, they already had a camera crew. Why? Who has a camera crew in their house? Isn't that odd?
And not just that, wasn't she caught going around the, like, Kensington Palace and taking private photographs and trying to sell them? Like, she was in this completely it's just like how, the queen was quoted as saying in, by Lady Anson, wasn't it like they thought it was all engineered, that's the word they used. It was
Yes.
all engineered. And
Hmm.
ultimately, and I think this might lead into another discussion we might have, but it comes down to monetizing herself as, through her relationship to the royal family. That's what it was. And to mess up that opportunity so poorly.
Right? Have you ever seen anyone fumble the bag so bad? Honesty and truth. Thank you for the $10 super chat. They say a feminist allowing Brit taxpayers to pay for her wedding. Even King Charles III had a second marriage in a registry office. What a totally awful woman. Pay the money back to the taxpayers. Absolutely. And again, everything about this woman was leading up so she could have a Netflix deal and throw a label on some jam. So what do you think about that, resting doll face?
I think resting doll face
Oh, did
left.
she leave? Okay, she told me she was going to leave earlier, so I know she had kids in the house. I can't see because I have like my little thing here. So what do you think about this whole, the documentary you sent me earlier, The Duchess for Sale? It's so embarrassing, isn't it? How she goes from being, a royal duchess, married to fifth in line to the throne. She could have done so much with her platform. She's this she-ra feminist. And what's amazing is that Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, she does amazing work for women. She goes to these countries for women's rights. She does a lot of advocate work for them. Meghan could have been on a worldwide stage. People would have actually paid attention to her if someone else wrote her speech. She could have done some real work if she really wanted to. She could have been a beacon for change, but all she wanted was the fame and the fortune. So now she's sitting here with her little jam, still clouding her Duchess title. That's such a fall.
It's such a fall, and I think some of us, at least for me, some of us are so fascinated because of not just the malignant narcissism, but imagine imagine your life where you don't need to worry about mortgage, you don't need to worry about HOAs or taxes or getting your driver's license or paying for car insurance and having someone drive you everywhere, and you have an allowance for clothing, and you go and you meet people that are very happy to see you. You have fulfilling work, you get to go. I mean, I just don't understand how you could trade all of that. Like the peace of mind, like, I think I would have so much peace of mind if I didn't have to worry about a roof over my head, right? Like, and all I do is go and greet people and make people feel good about themselves. But then that's just it. Everything has to be about her. She can't People have to be making her feel better about herself rather than her doing that externally.
Exactly. Celeste says, remember, he said Megan gave up everything for him. What did she give up? Exactly. Being the narcissist that she is, she had convinced Harry, I have this huge career. I'm making all this money. I'm a huge star, but I'm giving up my country, my dogs, my friends, my family, everything for you. What are you doing for me? So I think that's why he felt guilty when she moved into the royal family, and all of a sudden she just felt like people were being mean to her. They were jealous of her because she was Diana 2.0. The tabloids are so mean to her. I don't even remember the tabloids honestly being mean to her at all. In the beginning, everyone was so happy. Everyone was in love with her. I don't remember seeing the negative press until pretty much her wedding, when she had the drama with her father. And I believe that's when Thomas Jr. and her sister might have started going on the news. But really, the tabloids weren't mean to her that I can remember. Nobody was really calling her names except for that one article, out of Compton, and she wanted it shut down. But other than that, I feel like everyone was very happy and accepting of her. But I feel like she was, like you said, whispering in his ear, "See what I gave up for you, Harry? I gave all this up for you, and look how you're treating me. You're not shutting down the tabloids. You're not fighting for me." Is this something that your ex would kind of do to you?
Um, just really quick, what this reminded me of, you know what it's like being a content creator, right? You get hundreds of comments and the majority of them are really positive, right? And like I can say, let's say I have 100 comments and I have 3 that are negative. It's very easy to um really just give too much attention to the 3 negative comments, right? And I find myself doing that sometimes, and I try to redirect. I would be much better um taking that time and responding to the positive comments than I would trying to shift the minds of people that are, you know, hell bent on misunderstanding me. Right. And I think that's probably what it was with Megan. She would see hundreds of covers and hundreds of stories that were glowing and positive, but she would dwell on the couple of negative ones so much so that they overshadowed and overpowered all the positive ones. Right. So I think it's all about perspective and mindset, and when you have an ego like that, it really throws you for a loop, and that's all you see. All you see is the negative one. So I think that in her head, she did feel like it was all negative because it wasn't all positive, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I could definitely see her seeing that she would focus on the one or two negative things. That's a really good point because she's such a narcissist. It has to be total love. There can't be any negativity because that would be affecting her control, right? And as a narcissist, they have to have control. Teaspoon, Teaspoon 59 says, in the end, she gave up nothing and he has given up everything. Absolutely. And it appears he's having a little bit of buyer's remorse now, trying to desperately get back with his family. But at this point, they have gone no contact with Harry and Meghan because once you know what you're dealing with, and I'm sure you agree, you have to get out. There's just no compromise. It's just, you have to get out.
It's heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking because, um I don't wanna get emotional, but when you know that your dad is fighting something and you just see the time is the most precious commodity that Harry has in relation to his relationship with his father, and to be wasting it like this, it's just I don't know, you see the train has derailed completely. And when that BBC interview, I actually cried watching it because his brain is so twisted from reality. It's literally 180 degrees from the reality of the situation. And, when you see someone that's drowning, but they're only in knee deep water, you just want to say, stand up, just stand up. It's really not as bad as you think it is. But he's just so, I don't know, confused, lost. Um, it's heartbreaking to watch.
It is, and it is sad to see him. Your heart goes out to him because he is a victim. What other people, he is a victim, but unfortunately, he's also a willing participant. Because sometimes people end up the victim, but I also feel like she brought out all of his arrested development, his pettiness, his jealousy of his brother, the feeling of William is always has more than me. There's that competition, but they used to have a really close relationship, and I feel like Meghan just kind of, like you said, she highlighted all of the negative aspects. Like, well, they don't really treat you right, Harry. Look where you're living, Harry. You should be living up like William and Catherine. Or why do we have to walk behind them? We're more popular, and you're just like your mother, Diana, and I'm Diana, and we should be front and center. And they're just jealous of us, right? So I feel like she was just putting this narrative in his head and playing on his insecurities, and he fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. But now, 5 years later, I think he's realizing life isn't so rosy and I got to pay for stuff, and she's going through money, and money's not coming in at the rate that it used to come in. And so we'll have to talk about that in another time. But it's just I'm really glad that you're here to get that perspective, and you did highlight some wonderful points. I'm going to say Stefosky says she is a master manipulator. She really is. And I have to be honest with you, revealing I never really knew what a narcissist was until I started getting into the Megxit videos. And I think, according to Taz, was the very first creator that when I watched her video, I was like, oh my God, there are people who think just like me. Because I remember when Harry and Meghan, they announced Megxit, it was shocking, right? It was like, what? That doesn't happen. You're quitting the royal family. Who does that? That doesn't happen. So when I found out they were quitting the royal family and they were coming to America, I was like, that does not look good. And so remember the tabloids, I think Dan Wooten had broke the story, and they were talking about even like I think a year before when they moved to Frogmore Cottage instead of Kensington Palace, what they were supposed to do. They had an apartment, I believe, across the way from William and Catherine. And when they started to break up their charities and they separated their social media, remember they did the Sussex Royal, I was like, there's something going on there. That's weird. And there started to be some rumblings of, trouble behind the scenes that they were denying, right, the whole time. Oh, it's not true. It's not true. But it was true. They broke up the charities that they had worked on. Uh, Meghan and Harry then did Sussex Royal because, again, Meghan didn't want to be on Kensington Royal social media, can't put baby in the corner. So she had to have her own because she's a narcissist. So they had to do the Sussex Royal. They moved to Frogmore Cottage. Remember, she was trying to move into Windsor Castle with the Queen. So
Yeah.
really thought she was going to move in with the Queen because she's a narcissist, right? She's better than everybody, schlumping it at Kensington. So then all that news came out of all the rumblings behind the scenes. And then when they did Megxit, I was like, oh my God, really? There is problems behind the scenes. And when I went to According to Taz, and she literally had a video titled, Why I Don't Like Meghan Markle. And I was like, oh my God, she's right. And that's when they came over to the States and she started doing all those weird Zoom calls and they started picking up awards. And I was like, they're weird. I'd never heard Meghan really speak. And then when she started giving those words out speeches, I was like, she's terrible. Who is this woman? And then I realized, oh my God, she's a narcissist. And that's what I learned about it was just by watching her and learning from creators like According to Taz. And now I'm so fascinated because I feel like she's just a great case study on narcissism.
Absolutely. And that's exactly why I mentioned before I started my channel because of my friend, but a side effect or my goal has shifted since starting. It's to take Megan's behavior and really see how that can reflect in our own day-to-day lives and how can we spot these behaviors or if we are falling into these traps. So I know like just now when I was talking about Harry, I had a lot of empathy towards him. That's not to say that I am not holding him accountable for the nasty, horrible, horrific things he's done to his family. There is no excuse for that behavior that he's displayed. I guess my empathy for Harry is because I also have been in that situation and I know how isolating it is. So there is this connection I have to that. Uh, but still, he is still 100% accountable for his behavior, in my opinion. Um, and yeah, I think a lot of times when I talk about articles and things on my channel, I try to remind everyone I'm not here to debate the accuracy of the article. There's a lot of YouTube commentators that are very good at going into the nitty gritty and figuring out what's true or not. On my channel, we have to look at it as at face value, because we're here to analyze the potential situations that are happening and how that could apply in our daily lives, right? If we sat down and tried to debate the facts, we would lose the big picture of it all. I recently did a video about Harry's relationship with John Travolta and how this like suspicion he has that William is the one that's getting in between the relationship, where William doesn't even know John Travolta. And ultimately, I think Harry's gotten to the place that in his like deep in his subconscious mind, he knows he's made a mistake. So now he has to justify why he did what he did. And if he can say, William is now breaking apart my relationship with John Travolta, if he can still cast those negative thoughts, then it justifies in his own mind why he treated his family the way that he did.
Exactly. And Palm says she never mentions the Queen as Her Majesty or the Queen. She always refers to her as H's grandmother. Exactly. She always downplays the importance of the Queen. But I will say at the funeral, I think it finally dawned on her like, oh, this is the Queen, 70 years, because you could not walk away from that event without seeing the lines and lines of people who lined up for Her Majesty's funeral, right? And you could tell that Meghan was very meek at the funeral, especially when she had to confront Catherine and William on that walkabout. It was lovely to see. Catherine was like, keep my name out your mouth. Like, say it to
Mhm.
my face, lady, right? And Meghan was like, oh, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it was really evident that I think it hit her maybe at the funeral that the Queen was is more important than H's grandmother. She was Her Majesty the Queen. And I feel like she was always kind of downplaying, like, do I have to curtsy to your grandma? It's like, honey, she's the queen.
Yeah,
Um,
I did a video about that actually, in the Oprah interview. Megan says something like, she's talking about her first meeting with the Queen, and Harry she says something like, "Great, we're gonna meet grandmothers. I love grandmothers." And it's just not there's no reverence, there's no respect for the position, right? And that was from the get-go, Megan had a lack of respect for what she was going to eventually marry into.
I don't think a lot of people are ever going to forgive Meghan for that mock curtsy that she did on Netflix. And you could tell on Harry's face, he didn't think it was funny. When she did that, Your Majesty, Your Majesty. And she's doing the fake curtsy. He was like, you could tell that face was not happy because she was making fun of his upbringing, his family, his DNA, the history, the heritage, right? So even though Harry walked away from the royal family, he's still a royal prince. That is all he knows, and he's very proud to be a royal prince. So when she mocked the monarchy and mocked the curtsy, he didn't think it was funny at all, at all. And the fact that they left that in the documentary shows you that she's so arrogant and narcissistic that she probably thought people would think that was cute. Nobody thought it was cute, even your husband, right?
Duchess Delulu.
So, exactly. Stephen Magnus says Harry has such a bad anger pride issue, together with delayed cognitive function. He has arrested development, age 12, means he doesn't see the big story. Diana had her eating issue while having Harry, which might have been linked. I think with Harry, I mean, again, I am very sympathetic to the fact he lost his mother. I mean, that is not anything I wish upon anybody, nobody. But I do feel that, both William and Harry lost their mother at the same time, 2 years apart, but at the same time on a very public stage. No one cries for William, but we want to like coddle Harry like he's a man child, like literally take him off the teat. We're not breastfeeding him. He's 41 years old. Okay. When are we going to stop excusing his bad behavior when he's a 60-year-old grandfather? The man's 41 years old. William doesn't get the same treatment. William gets criticized for everything he does, but Harry, oh, we got to feel so bad for little Harry. He lost his mom. Well, William did too, but William is going to be the future king. He's a father of three. He has responsibilities. Harry is like a man child waiting for his mommy wife to tell him what to do. He hasn't
Yeah,
gone to that stage.
if I remember correctly, I think it's in Tom Bower's Revenge that the Queen, I don't remember what school William was attending, but on lunch breaks, he could walk over, I think, to the Queen and sit down and spend time with her and then go back to his studies. And it's just wild to me that Harry could have done that too. It's not I don't know. I feel that he could have had the same exact support that William did, you just have to accept the support, right? Same with Megan when she was told, "You can, have, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, be your, uh, mentor," and she said, "No, I have Harry, I don't need more than Harry," which is wild, which is wild that
Mhm.
Harry becomes your mentor. Um
Right, Harry, a mentor, really? Have you seen the guy? And Celeste says he has had years of best therapy available, but remember in the book Spare, he admitted that he refused to talk about his mother. He really didn't want to partake in the therapy. And so he basically had arrested development because he refused to take the help that was given to him over and over. And it's like he waited till Meghan, and then all of a sudden Meghan was the savior. Meghan was the one who helped him. But really, William and his family had encouraged him to go to counseling. William had taken the counseling also and had worked through his issues, right? But he didn't have the same affordability to be a victim because he's the future king. He was raised knowing he's going to be a king. But Harry, being the spare, has had so many people coddle him his entire life. He just thrives absolutely, Tam, on his victimhood. And of course, being a narcissist, Meghan loves the victimhood narrative. So they're almost made for each other, I would say, at this point. Two victims.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Lizzie B says, wait, he refused to talk about Princess Diana in therapy, but is more than willing to talk about her in interviews and the media. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, guys, we're going to wrap up here in a couple of minutes. So, if you have any comments or questions for me or Revealing the Narc, please feel free to put it in the comments section. Yes, a lot of people always say this. Thankfully, William was born first.
Yep.
And I'm so glad he found Catherine. I mean, Princess Diana was my favorite Princess of Wales, but I have to be honest with you. I kind of believe this, and people don't come for me, but I believe she's going to surpass Princess Diana in popularity because she is going to be queen. And if you look at it, they've been married for what, 13 years? Since 2011. She hasn't put a foot wrong as first a Duchess, now the Princess of Wales, going on to be the future queen. People adore her. Did you see her at Wimbledon? I'm going to say Wimbledon because as American we say Wimbledon. But did y'all see her when she walked into Wimbledon? The people stood and cheered for her. They love her.
I think she's perfection. Every time I see her, it puts a smile on my face.
Mhm.
I just I don't know what it is about her, but even in pictures and videos, I'm just attracted to her energy. Um, she seems like she's an active listener, right? When she talks to people, she's not, you know, concentrating on how she's gonna respond to the person. I just admire her greatly.
Yeah, she is honestly, her, William, and the kids are the future, and they're saving the monarchy, in my opinion. Celeste says, Revealing has helped me to understand my past relationship. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. Sometimes I have really major imposter syndrome. Sometimes I feel like, I don't know, it's just very heartwarming to know that the things I talk about, um, well, it's also hard to know that people connect with it because I would never wish these types of things on anybody, but I'm glad that the videos are helpful, and I also wanna bring some comedy into it too, so that's why I make the video clips of Megan's mask slips and her unbelievable behavior.
You know what? I have to be honest with you. I am so impressed with you and your work.
Oh my goodness, thank you.
And I'm so proud of you. I don't know you very well, but every time I've seen you, you just conduct yourself so nicely. You always have great insight. And you guys, Revealing the Narc just hit 40,000 subscribers. Now, I've been doing this for 4.5 years and I only have 44,000. Girl, you are blowing up. I am so happy for you. And let's race together to 50K. Let's
Let's do
get Revealing
it.
50K, girl. Let's do it. So
Let's
let's
do it,
get
we got it. It's in the bag.
girlfriend. When we hit 50K, we're going to have a party. Me and you, we're going to have a 50K party. So you guys, please go over and check out Revealing the Narc. She does the amazing clips, like kind of the Cliff Note version of Meghan Markle and her mask slips. And that is why she's grown so fast, because people want to see just those clips. And she puts in her own perspective as someone who has escaped a narcissist. And you've heard her today. She has great insight. She does amazing work. So please go over and check out Revealing the Narc. Let's get her to 50,000. And of course, your girl has hit 44,000. Thank you guys so much. And I hope that we can both get to 50K very, very soon. But thank you for stopping by the show. I'm so glad that you were able to join me today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And yes, let's get you to 50K. And I'm so excited that you and I are on this journey together. And I also feel that I'm on this journey with my audience too. So thank you everybody for being on this journey with me and with us. So thank you so much, Michelle. I appreciate it.
We are very much a very collaborative group here. We help each other, and it's just always fun to connect with other creators. And I love the fact that we're growing together. And I hope that y'all will tune in to her channel. Also, next week, I have Steph, the Alter Nerd, will be here, and then HD Tutor on the 27th. So you guys do not want to miss that, because I'm going to put him on the hot seat. And he has agreed to let me ask him some very interesting questions. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope to see y'all next week. And make sure you go over to Resting Dollface as well, and Revealing the Narc, and subscribe to their channels. And do you have a new video coming out that they should be on the lookout for?
Oh my goodness, I have a good one coming. So there was I wanted to do a compilation of videos of Meghan putting her hand on Harry's back when he's leaning over. And so I have a compilation ready to go, but I found that there was one event in particular that Meghan did it over and over and over again. And then I found out that that event has a wild connection to Omid Scobie.
Ooh.
And yeah, this one's gonna be great. So I'm actually prepping it. I'm hoping to maybe record it today or tomorrow, but that one is gonna be, I mean, I don't know if I need to put on my tinfoil hat, but there's definitely relationships there.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. So you guys be on the lookout for that. And I'm hoping to have a video up for you guys later today. But of course, it's Sunday, and I got to go watch The Gilded Age season 3. No,
I'm
I'm
obsessed with that
addicted.
show.
Are you for real? Oh my
I'm
God, you guys.
so obsessed with that show.
Yes,
Yes.
The Gilded Age, The Gilded Age. So y'all know I'm going to have my popcorn, and I'm watching that tonight. But thank y'all so much for being here, and we hope to see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.